Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I'm very, very glad to see y'all. I know we were away for last week because I was traveling and did not plan very well around it. And I saw some of the async updates in the channel. Thank you so much, you all who did that. And now we're gonna get back at it. Do we have a volunteer to take notes for us today?
I'll
Ray?
take notes.
Thank you so much, Ray. All right. So, first thing, lead updates. Welcome back. So good to see you. I'm glad we're starting off our Mondays. You all are my second meeting of the day, but that first one doesn't count. Don't tell them I said that. So thank you all for being here. I'm so glad to see you all for my first meeting of the day. And we are 70 days away from the Contributor Summit. We are getting closer and closer and closer. If you didn't know, you can register for Contributor Summit right now. The information is pinned to the Summit staff channel. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you all here in just a couple of months. Brienne is out today. So if we have any questions for Brienne, I have a thread that I have set up there in the notes for us to track all of that information. Kaylin also may join us at the half to talk about room assignments, but one of the main things is that there are still only 2 submissions to the CFP so far. I believe they're by the same person. So let's do what we can to get the word out, to get some more talks submitted to our programming. And that includes you, lovely people. If you have something you want to talk about, please drop it in. All right. Which brings us to comms. Avanesh, you are up.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm planning to do more comms this week, and talking about the previous week, the announcement was done, and we did share about it on Twitter and Mastodon. Yeah, we did that. I still am to do announcement via the Slack bot. Would definitely love to know about what all things we need to share there and which channels. Yeah,
Okay.
that's all from mine.
All right. Is that something that we need to talk about to figure out what the right channels are? Oh, and Natalie has a question as well.
I was just thinking, could we also utilize some of the newsletters, like last week with Kubernetes or the Cube Weekly newsletter for some of that comms?
Yeah, I think that would be super helpful if we could do that, especially publicizing the CFP and the event itself. I think that would be really, really helpful. That's a great idea. Who do we get in touch about getting things added to those newsletters? Oh, I can't hear you, Bob.
For LWKD, it's Josh.
And it's already in there.
It's in there. Okay, cool.
We don't want to do Cube Weekly because our audience for this is contributors.
Oh, right, and that's more newer folks that, yeah, got it. Cool.
Yeah. The other just little comment, I sent an email about this morning, but we no longer want to advertise stuff in Kubernetes contributors. That has now the channel Kubernetes new contributors, and we have the new channel Kubernetes org members.
Yeah, cool. Is there any sort of automation that added the org members into that channel, and can anybody just join that channel?
Anyone, it's Slack. We have very little control over this stuff, so anyone can theoretically join it. We don't have a good way of like automating any kind of way of inviting it because there's no way to map Slack IDs to GitHub handles. That's why, like in user groups, we have to have that little manual. Manual thing.
And then I guess I had it twisted in my head. I thought everyone at some point in their org membership application would have linked their Slack to org membership and we could just crawl it. But if not, okay, cool. Good to know. Good to know. So now that we know that it is in the last week in Kubernetes, is there any other places that we aren't in that we want to be? No,
Just Slack.
just Slack. All right, cool. Yeah, so CFP should be shared to all SIG channels. Perfect. All right. And then Avinash, you said you weren't sure. What else were you not sure about that we could chat about right now?
About like, do you want to do a announcement as a separate thing, or do you want to redirect to the mail that we sent? How are you planning to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Is there, I mean, I know that there were a lot of emails that came out around the same time, and I know that right now there's still emails coming out around the election. And it would be interesting if we could even put something on that page. I don't know if that's possible. Or we could be like, oh, hey, by the way, you're over here voting. Also come to the contributor summit, you know.
Yeah, it's not possible.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, I don't know. Do we want to link back to the original email, or do we at some point want to send out another? I think at some point, obviously, we'll send another email out. But yeah, maybe we give it another week, you know, or like when we have like some milestone. It's like we're at 70 days right now. Do we want to do like 45, 30, 15 kind of thing?
Well, we're going to want a bunch of follow-up announcements about deadlines for various things, right? Because you want like, we want to make like an announcement when the CFP deadline is a week out, and then when it's 3 days out, etc.
Right.
There should already be a whole schedule for this. Is none of this written down?
What do you have in your playbook, Avinash?
So I have like I have a doc, and that doc has like 6 mails. Not much. So I'm not having a proper schedule. That is what I am personally building for myself.
Okay.
Coming with these meets, but for now we don't have any such things.
Okay. Well, thank you for putting that together for the future folks.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, yeah, I mean, so for everything we want sort of a countdown to deadlines, you know, so for the CFP, like how far, let's see, the CFP is like 2 weeks out at this point. So we might want to have, you know, separate announcement into this week, and then a week out, and then 3 days out for the deadline to the CFP. Same thing with registration, which closes 3 or 4 days out from the actual contributor summit.
Okay.
And it's a good way to remind people the contributor summit is happening.
Yeah. And Noah says that historically there has been a doc with future comms. Do you want to speak to that, Noah? Or is that the doc that Avinash is talking about?
Yeah, I think it's the doc that Avinash is talking about. But
okay,
really, it's just that every time we come up with an idea for, oh, we should send out a reminder for that, then it gets added to that doc.
Cool. All right, great. Well, we can work backwards, like Josh is suggesting, for the deadlines that we have, and then do some milestones for that.
Yeah. If you want to share the schedule you're building, Avinash, because there are some other things that I know that we're going to need to make announcements about, like, for example, once we've mapped out the sessions, we're going to be issuing a call for volunteers, which is not something I think we've actually done before, so I want to fit that in the schedule.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so Avinash will share that in progress doc, and then Josh, you can add the stuff to it that you're thinking of, and then we can collaboratively iterate on it from there. All right. I don't see Nitish here. Do we have any updates about the celebration? Josh, have you heard anything? I guess partially we're waiting for the short list to come back from Brienne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they were choosing a shadow, which I think maybe is going to be Craig. So
cool.
But I haven't gotten confirmation of that.
Cool. Great. And Natalie, you're up for ops.
Nothing on the ops side. I actually was I'm very keen for Kaylin to come, hopefully at the half hour, so we can chat about the room assignments, because that'll be helpful the day of ops of knowing what we need.
Sure. Okay. Registration. We have registration open. Mars, how are we doing?
Not good.
Oh,
Well, I'm joking. Well, how it's good and bad. Well, good is we have registrations. We have, I think, like 40, maybe about 40 already registrations, which is great. And not good part is that we cannot approve people for now because we have some troubles getting usernames, GitHub usernames for those registrations. And Brian was working with a backend team to figure this out. It will take probably another few days.
okay.
So hopefully it will be solved this week and we can send out first approvals this week.
Sounds good. Bob?
Two things, like usually, just as a FYI, like anytime we send out comms, we get like a bump of registrations. And then when the CFP notifications go out, that's when we see like the massive amount of like people registering. The other unrelated thing is we do probably want to hold off till next week to send out comms, at least for anything that's going to kates.dev, because something is going with Netlify. I literally just discovered this, and you go to kates.dev and it's coming back with a netlify.app cert. So it, like any shortcuts, things like that are going to come up with cert invalid. Which we probably don't want to be directing people to until that is figured out.
All right, so we've got 40 registered so far. Do you know how many are staff and how many are attendees?
No, not yet. I think
Okay.
they're mostly attendees. I need to check how many are staff.
Oh,
Okay.
and Mars, I'll get you an etcd validation list this week.
I would appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So let's if you are staff, if you are here, and you have not registered, please register as staff. And then yeah, we'll get some updates from you next week once all the back end stuff is fixed. Then should be good.
Yeah, hopefully, yes. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully. All right, cool. All right. According to Slack, no updates for awards. Swag.
Meet and greet.
Oh, sorry. What did I miss? Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're okay. I just left notes in there on top of everything.
Thank
Just
you,
a
Laura.
quick note. We are working on the naming poll list, so it's all good. Since we're including etcd now, can we reference Kubernetes in the name, or should we make it just contributors? That's the only question we have right now. Anybody have any opinions?
I think that if etcd is getting rolled in, then like, you know, it makes sense that it could still be called Kubernetes. But
Okay.
yeah, I am open.
It's mostly making sure people don't get confused and think
Sure.
like, we want to make sure it doesn't mean like every single project under the sun that could possibly be an open source contributor, because we don't have that many groups. But will people who are interested in etcd come to something that says
Yes.
Kubernetes? They
Yes.
will? Okay, cool. That's all we needed to know. So yeah, well, hopefully we've come up with a name in our discussions, and we will just validate that real quick, and I will be posting it up to the Slack channel. Yay,
Sick.
that's it.
Thanks. All right. Side note, Ray, you are killing it at the notes. This is great. I feel like these are amazing.
Woo, woo.
So thank you so much. Okay, no updates for awards for Slack. Swag. I need to start doing some research about what the sort of like what it's gonna cost for us to get the item that we want to get for staff and volunteers, and then put together,
Right.
you know, a little like proposal to see where if I can get funding for it, you know. And then
Have we gotten costs for the t-shirt back from Brian yet?
I don't believe so. I haven't seen anything on
Just
that.
because I'm going to stress here that the budget that we have for that was based on having hoodies the last two
Sure.
summits. So we're doing t-shirts. There will probably be some budget left over from the CNCF's budget.
Sure. Yeah, that will be interesting to see. But I think partially like there's like a costing out that needs to be done by me that I will work on this week and have a report for you all, some deliverables on that.
Yeah. Anyway, Caslin has done designs for everything at this point.
Yeah, and they look great.
So we're all set from a design department.
Awesome. I guess, yeah, awards will figure out what awards is doing, but beyond that, everything looks pretty good. All right. With that, or anything else, the short links, and who is this here? Or Noah? Yes, Noah, what's up?
That's just I was thinking about the fact that we have I cannot talk this morning. We have the reg link, we have the CFP link. We should put them in as kates.dev short links. But if kates.dev is potentially having issues, we should maybe let that shake out a little bit. And I wanted to just identify all the places that we might also need short links, other than we've got reg, we've got the CFP, we've got the unconference issue when it comes up, and we've got the notes folders, which I had a question about that. Can anybody just make a notes folder inside that shared drive folder?
Right now, anyone that's part of the SIG ContribEx list can.
Okay, cool.
And then once the folder is created, we just give rights to dev.
Okay. Is there anything other than those four that people think would be good short links? We don't have it on conference issue yet, but we will.
Yeah. I mean, how, like, the unconference league, I guess, or CFP goes out after the CFP, or like the acceptances go out for the program, or during that like window period?
I'm trying to remember what we did last time. I think last time we said,
okay. Josh says after, yeah.
Yeah, I say after, because until people know what's in the scheduled program, they don't know what's not in the scheduled program, which is primarily what the unconference sessions are for.
Yeah, but hopefully they're submitting things that, you know, right now in the CFP. All right.
and anything that potentially doesn't get accepted in the CFP, they might then say, but I really did want to talk about this.
Right. Okay, so we have some time on that, which doesn't answer your question. I have digressed. But yeah, are there any other links that we want to include as short links?
I think that's it, based on the resounding responses.
All right, sounds good. We have not yet made it to the half. So, does anybody have anything else that they want to discuss right now that would be helpful? Because we can have the room layout conversation next week if we need to push it. Yes, Ray.
Yeah, are we going to do a remembrance for Chris Nova at the Contributor Summit? I'm pretty sure CNCF will do one at KubeCon. I don't know.
Yeah. So what I can say now is that there were some pretty direct wishes about what was going to be happening with memorials. And at present, there is not a plan to include it in the memorial that we're doing, the memorial section that we're doing at Contributor Summit. But essentially, listening to the wishes of the close friends and family and adjusting from there. And when we have clear guidance, then we will know. Bob probably can speak to this a lot better than I can. And unfortunately, just had to take a little break. But yeah, there have been conversations about what's happening with the memorial, and I saw something get posted to Dev this morning about a memorial. Did you see that email come through?
I can quickly mention that. So
I have not looked at it yet.
Basically, the wishes are, if you want to kind of post information for a memorial publicly, nivenly.org is actually collecting that specifically there. So that would be the place to post public memorial kind of wishes and things there. But yeah, as Nigel already said, I don't believe we're doing anything in the contributor summit specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Bob,
I think
Bob
it
is
was
back. Yes, Bob,
Yeah,
please go.
sorry. At least as of now, we are not doing anything at the summit for Chris. We are in contact with the family and like close friends, and we'll see, what happens from here. In general, the wishes have just been to keep things very like that was never Chris's thing. Like very, very small thing, okay, but nothing large. But yeah, we will have Carolyn.
Yeah.
So no matter what, we will have a memorial of some kind.
And Sean shared the Nivenly link there if folks want to. It's in the chat if folks want to go and visit that and leave memorials there.
And one thing I think we need to do ahead of the summit, but ahead of the summit, I mean like the week before, is if this continues, if this is what we end up with, that is we're specifically not doing one for Chris at the summit, we'll want to socialize that so that we don't have somebody raising their hand after we do the memorial for Carolyn saying, hey, what about Chris Nova?
Yeah, I understand that that's going to be handled with some delicacy. Natalie, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask that same question. Like, how would we? Josh, do you have an idea of how we would go about?
Yeah, well, I mean, we share it on social a little bit, but actually, I think we're going to have to. There's no way to cover everybody, so we're going to have to make an announcement that basically just says, hey, we're going to do this memorial and that sort of thing. We did lose other community members this year, but it was their wishes that they not be included in this memorial, because otherwise you're going to miss somebody, and that person's going to speak up, which would be kind of ruining.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, please, Laura.
Since we're going to have a swag table and everybody always goes to the swag table, could we get like a tiny little printed sign with a QR code to that memorial link and just say, like, hey, just so you know, to go with all of the memorial thing, if you would like to leave a memorial for Chris Nova, here's the place to do it. Like, don't even say like anything specific. We can still make the announcement, but just saying, if you want to leave it, here's the little QR code. It's small. I would imagine that would be okay, but if we want to double check with family and friends, that I could always reach out to some people and ask.
George has been our main, he's in direct contact with everyone, so anything.
Yeah, Paris and I have been talking, so
okay, yeah. Paris too, essentially, whatever those we'll follow whatever comes from them.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that it might be worth asking George, since we know a lot of people are going to probably be asking, is it okay to put a little QR code out there somewhere that's easy to point people to?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Ray, for bringing that up. And yeah, it sounds like we have some clear next steps of what to do and how to memorialize folks in the way that they would wish. Do we have anything else that we wanted to talk about in our anything else section? Okay. So what are we looking for next week? At least for me, we need to get the swag stuff updated, need to find some aprons and cost them out and figure out how we're going to do the design on there, if we're going to do some embroidery or silk screening type stuff. And then, did we have any other questions for Brienne? We wanted to get the price quote for the t-shirts. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and also we were supposed to have potential venues for the social. So I'll follow up in Slack with Brianna and the leads for the social to make sure that they actually get that synced up.
Yeah. I know that they said that they had a team in Chicago that they were waiting for that was going to provide at least a short list. I don't know if folks want to, in addition, look around and see places, if you know of places that we can perhaps offer as suggestions, and maybe there is some alignment there, but it might be nice, like, if we're able to chat with that about the social leads.
I mean, we'll know when they come up with their short list, but one of the hard choices we're going to have around this particular contributor summit is having something close by in a very boring venue versus having something in a more interesting venue, but that requires taking a train. Because I don't know if anybody's like looked at where KubeCon is, but it's in the middle of a industrial zone. So so there's not going to be anything that people can easily walk to that's not going to essentially be hotel ballroom.
Laura?
So I just dropped a link to the Baseline Music Complex, which is across the street. I'm just going to say there is a discussion at a place that I know about, that I am part of the discussion about having their own social here, and it's stupid cheap for what a venue is costing. So perhaps check that place out and see if it's of interest for
and
the
they have
social.
a SSL recording console. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's kind of a really stupid cool place. But we literally just found it this morning, and I'm gonna pretend the recording is redacted. No one heard anything. I'm just saying. Somebody magically found this. But yes, perhaps this is a place. Unfortunately, it does not have an outside space, which is the only thing I think it's missing. But they also don't require a caterer. There is no required caterer, so you can bring in your own. I don't know. Might be worth asking, because apparently also it's very, very hard to find for people. So not a lot of people have booked it.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
So in case it's useful.
Yeah. So actually, I do have a question here. Given that Brienne is apparently on vacation until the 5th, who at the CNCF do we follow up with about social spaces, etc.? Because basically, because we were supposed to get a short list before she left on vacation, and we didn't.
I mean, we can check in with Deb, maybe. That might be the right move.
At the very least, Deb will tell us who, if not herself.
Yep.
And Brienne is on vacation, but she's also on Slack, and she responds, so she works a lot less than usual.
I'm not going to encourage that behavior.
Yeah,
I'm totally not going to encourage that behavior.
It's not good, but we can ask her if she has anyone in mind.
Okay, so if we're searching for responses, then I'm going to ping Deb about those two things that we hope to get before Brienne left on vacation and didn't. One of the things I was going to mention is people should have their speaking acceptances or not for KubeCon today for the main track. And that's going to affect a lot of people, deciding to register for the Contributor Summit or not.
Yeah, that's one question that I had as well, is when those go out, and if it's today, then
I mean, mind you, the Colo ones don't come out for like 3 weeks or something.
Sure.
And this year the Colo speakers get KubeCon passes, so expect a second wave when the Colo acceptances come out.
Yeah, but if the Colos are at the same time, right? Like,
good point. Well, except a second wave when the Colo rejections come out then.
Natalie?
So I just wanted to point out Laura's really excellent point about an outside space for masking and COVID considerations, just because of interesting historical past of our events and our
but we are talking about Chicago in November.
I think there would be people who will not care about that and would prefer to err on the safety side, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, Laura says there's another place nearby that has indoor-outdoor space, so we'll get that as well. But yeah,
I just think it would increase the amount of people who would come to the social if there was an outside space.
I agree.
the choice is to be cold. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So do we want to do any sort of communication this week then? If people are gonna find out about acceptances and they know they're gonna be at KubeCon, then it might be a good idea. You know, some congrats to all of the selected speakers, you know, for KubeCon. If you're planning to be there, don't forget about the contributor summit, you know, please sign up. Do we want to do that?
Honestly, I think like a 2-line reminder on like Thursday would probably be pretty good.
Okay.
Thursday is great because it's after the announcements, and also next week probably there's gonna be more people out because Labor Day weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
for those in the
good.
US.
All right. And then yeah, I see the venue that Laura posted, and nice. Yeah, I'm looking at their Instagram because their website doesn't have much on it. Because
Okay.
the website's loading, but it does look gorgeous, and we could explore that as well. And folks, we did it. We did it. Kaylin is here. Kaylin is in the building. All right, let's circle back up. Let's talk about room assignments.
Before we talk about room assignments, I just want to brag really quick that my house is literally being built outside the window of my cabin right now.
Oh, that's sick.
How sick is that? They're lifting our walls up. 3 walls are already up. Very exciting over here.
I was actually gonna ask, are you in a sauna right now?
Yeah,
know,
it did kind of look like that. Yeah.
How is that? No, I'm in a little bunkie that we stay in so we can watch our house go up.
That's what, like I have 2 years ago, I had to work while on vacation for a bit, and I was taking calls in the sauna because that was the quietest place.
Yeah, I did wonder about that when you joined the call. But yeah, awesome. You're here.
Yes. Okay. I haven't actually looked at anything, but do we have?
Well, we did make note of the only 2 submissions that we think are by the same person, and so
Yeah,
we're at least gonna work to get more folks submitting.
Sweet. Yeah. And then I guess like room assignment we can probably do next week. I think it'd be good to have Brienne here for it.
Okay. Brienne probably will still be out next week, right?
Okay. Maybe we can pre-chat.
Yeah.
It would
But
be
we have at least the
next Monday is a holiday in the US.
Oh,
so right. Are we skipping this meeting, or are we having it on Tuesday?
Let me look. Do we next week? So we have ContribEx bi-weekly meeting this week. Yes.
Let me check.
I'm pretty sure we didn't have it last week, but I could be wrong.
Yes, we have ContribEx this week.
Okay, so then next week, can we just take that slot, like the ContribEx slot?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll meet on Wednesday. And then let me look at the calendar. And so the 5th is a Tuesday, so we should have Brienne next week, assuming that time slot works for them. But yeah, we at least have the room, like the venue layouts in the room, so we could take a pass at it now. And then if there are things that have to change, I would err on the side of like being a little over prepared for it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And we could also do Slack updates, yeah, like Bob said, next week. Okay. Bye, Laura. Have fun at DevOps Days. All right. Yeah, stock rooms.
Okay, sweet. Can someone, I'm just trying to find the spreadsheet right now with the list.
Yeah.
Brienne shared it somewhere.
Yeah, we should probably pin that to the channel. So here's the planning doc here, and I will share it.
I just threw the spreadsheet in chat.
Nice.
Awesome.
To it. All right.
Okay. What did we had last time? Okay. Anyone feel free to help me because last time I just listened to this part, but we had, maybe I'm just going to open it and see what our rooms were last time. I just had.
Oops.
Oh, maybe I don't have it.
So on our agenda here, I'll share.
Do you need the one from Europe?
I was just going to reference the one from Europe because
give me 2 seconds.
My only experience with the room planning. I know, like, we wanted the big main room, which we already have, I think, the ballroom.
Oops. Wrong sheet.
I'll get to the Europe one in just a minute.
That's the right sheet.
Okay. Oh, I see. I understand this now. It looks like they're pretty much already specified. So just making sure that these align and then filling out if we need a podium, what the screen situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think podium, yes, for general session and workshop.
Can I just check what you mean by podium cable? Like, you mean like a thing with a microphone on it?
I think so, yeah.
So
Yeah.
which room are you saying?
And like, I think last year we went back and forth about needing it for the workshops, like if it made sense or if people were going to be walking around. But like, if we can have one, I feel like it's nice to just have somewhere where people can speak.
Yeah, confirming that it was like a choice and people were asked, do you want this, yes or no? So having it there was good, but it was really only used in like that big main talk space where most of the talks were given.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so we only have one room for workshop, one room for general sessions. Are the meeting rooms where we would imagine unconference would be happening?
Yeah, breakouts, I think, and then we have a room for docs, the doc sprint.
Okay, awesome. Again, like, I don't think we need the podium for unconference. Usually those ones end up being someone just kind of like sitting down and chatting. Like, I think just microphones are good. And
those rooms tend to be good with a couple of mics to pass around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So two.
Yeah, is there any possibility of getting? Are we going to get some rooms set up? Council meeting style as opposed to auditorium style?
Yeah, well, this is where we can determine that now if we want.
But we also need to check with Brienne to see what's available. Some of them, like, if we go through and try and put rounds in a room and then find out they don't even have rounds to give us.
Right. Well, what we see is that there are rounds of 8 here. And what I'm saying is we can put stuff in here and then, like, if it's a no, it just gets taken out and we adjust to the next thing. I don't think it's a reason to hold off. So we can describe and go ahead, Bob.
I was gonna say, usually, like, you can see like they have NA for the things up above. So if it supports rounds, it'll tell you.
Look at you reading the document.
So up above requirements, you see the square foot theater classroom rounds U-shaped board.
Not a lot of rounds available.
Yeah. All right. Bet.
So that tells you at least what room layouts the room support. And
Can I quickly confirm then that when as a question, so heads up that doc sprint is likely going to be confirmed. We're in docs, we're organizing as we speak, but I see the number 10 there. Does that mean only 10 seats Is that a capacity number?
Yeah, I think so, because they're saying a board with board seating with AV. So yeah, probably 10 chairs. Yeah.
Okay. We might need a bigger room, but I understand we're also not a priority, but just kind of want to flag that.
Yeah, so I'll put in the notes.
Our last doc sprint, we had 20 folks attend.
Yeah.
That might be a great one for a staff room then, because we tend to just like store stuff there and see about swapping that for another room.
The other staff office is the same size, basically. It's smaller, actually, the staff office.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm dumb. Missed that.
But I think there might be some misconceptions because we put the doc sprint up for Europe and nobody went to it. So there might be some confusion on how many people are actually going to attend. So we should call out that there's going to be historically many more people for the doc sprint in North America than there are for the doc sprint in Europe.
It was hard to find in Europe.
Yeah, good call. No, we didn't have the Europe one. It was unfortunately not organized, but the last 2 years we've had it in NA, so we're kind of rolling with that. Yes.
Okay. All right. So for this one, we like, obviously it's going to be the board seating.
Yeah, and so yeah, for a doc sprint, we always need to be able to hook up a laptop because we all kind of it doesn't have to be classroom style, but we're looking to the front to like know what we're working on together. But arrangements isn't we're not too picky about the arrangement per se, just that many of us will be there with laptops working, so that's the only consideration to make.
Yeah.
All right, I will put that. We'll just put 20 in there.
I would actually also put the power requirement in the additional notes.
Okay.
Is like they especially like do things they usually won't run additional power unless we explicitly tell them.
Yeah, as a like for as an example, for last time in Detroit, we were given a room that had the kind of U shape, but it had all of this extra power set up in like per 3 seats. I think it was. They really purposely did it for that room, and we weren't able to switch rooms because there was no power set up in the same way.
Right.
Got it. Okay. And then screens and projector. Yes. 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Podium, no. All right. All right. Cool. What else do we want to do?
Do we want rounds for unconference or classroom? Like
Which one? This one here, or which?
1 and 2, I think, will both be
Okay.
set the same for unconference, and we can chuck a talk in there if we have one, or workshopy talks can go in there. If there's extra.
Honestly, the way the unconferences tend to go, like there's not really a good layout for a conference room that fits them because it all tends to be almost amphitheater style, but everybody facing everyone. So rounds is not good. Theater is not great. Like
it's not available.
No matter what, people are going to be turning around.
Yeah. We can do 1 rounds, 1 theater, and then we can know for next year what works better. Or sorry,
Okay.
1 classroom, 1 classroom, 1 rounds.
1 classroom, 1 rounds, no theater.
No theater, I don't think. And then we can try and take note at how it went for next year.
Rounds of 8.
Environment.
They say they prefer rounds of 8 instead of 10 where possible.
Yeah, I think that doesn't make a difference too much.
Okay.
Podium, a screen and projector is nice in case someone wants to share something. Like if someone does like a sprinty thing, I think it's a nice option. Just 1.
Okay.
Okay. Markers, notepads, I don't know. That feels.
Yeah. Well, for unconference, if there's going to be like a working session, then
Yeah, that could be. Maybe we can just have that generally in the staff area and we can bring them where they're needed instead of.
Okay, so then yeah, we'll just put it in the staff office that we need a ton of it and then go from there. All right.
And then general session, I think, because if everyone ends up being in there, it is nice to have at least 2 mics running through the audience for like steering committee AMA. So 3 mics
Sure.
there, I think. 1 on stage and 2 in the audience at least.
Yeah,
Okay.
confirmed 2. We'll have 2 for ops running around to help out.
And like, I guess we passed the panel or we passed the mic on stage for the AMA. Yeah, so 3.
Will they not have their own on stage? Bob, as a former panelist, how did you have it in Amsterdam?
I could not make the Amsterdam one because
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. No, they had mics
But-
that they were passing around in Amsterdam.
But yeah, that's usually just it's a couple people sitting around and passing the mic.
Yeah.
It prevents interrupting as well, so it ends up working well.
Yeah, if we had like 2 on stage and then 2 in the crowd.
Yeah,
I'm
one
just
for the
gonna say
question
5.
asker, one for the answerer.
Yeah.
Get microphones everywhere, coming out our ears.
Yeah. Okay. And I assume this room already has like screens and stuff. We can look at the floor plan.
I should say, yeah, the floor plan, like if it has depending on the shape of the room too, is nice, but
Okay. It's not as helpful as I thought.
yeah.
The Amsterdam one was like you could really drill in and okay. Well, we'll figure it out later.
We'll put like an asterisk to Aspirin. She usually knows what the shapes are. Oh, wow. Is that the main room? That big one with the
which big one? This one?
like the one in the picture at the top? Is that? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But it looks like that screen was just set up. Like it doesn't look like that is permanent in the room like that.
With experience, do people prefer the like 2 on either side or 1? I don't think I have set up enough conferences to have strong
I
opinions.
think 2 is really helpful. Oh, Bob, you're gonna say something?
I was gonna say it just really depends on the room layout.
Yeah.
So we can put 2 asterisks and wait for Brand to help us read the venue diagram.
Yeah. All right. 2.
Classroom's the only option, so I guess that.
The other thing is knowing who else might be in the same space and where the delineation is. Like, we got really lucky in Amsterdam that we had the whole space to ourselves, but in Detroit there were other rooms peppered throughout that had other things going on in them. So we need to make sure that if we're looking at the map and trying to figure out which rooms are which, that we're not what's the phrase I'm looking for? That we're not making assumptions about whether or not we even have the rooms that we're looking at in the first place.
I think we have like a separate area. Like I think Brand was saying that because she's going to be like getting the registration on that side. Like we have our own registration this time. Did I misunderstand that?
No, you didn't. It's here.
Okay. So I think we're more separate, but I'm not 100% on that. There are a lot of rooms in this diagram.
That makes me think that, just as an aside, for like swag considerations, like printing out the signs for the rooms of what's labeled what as well.
Yeah, so this Jackson Park areas that comes up a lot. So we've got these like rooms here.
A, B, C, and D of that. And then on
the
ballrooms and the boardrooms.
Yeah, boardroom 5. There's a ballroom, and then boardroom 5 is next to the ballroom. Okay. All right. And then how many do we want to set that main room for? Like we're saying 300 kind of on and off, but not necessarily sitting in there the whole time. So what are we looking at for
I would say keep it at whatever the max is, 300, because that's also the session where we'll do the full introductions and the outro. So potentially we could have every attendee in the room at the same time.
Sure. Well, we 278 is our max there.
There we go then.
Put that. All right. Do we want to set up anything else right now? The staff office, do we want to?
I guess workshop would be rounds. If people are doing stuff and maybe sitting with their laptops out.
I would actually suggest classroom on that one.
It's just classroom, like people have desks in front of them. Is that it? Like shared desks?
Basically, because rounds, they'll be facing each other, but depending on what goes into the workshop sessions, it may be everybody facing and, following along with, we don't know what the context will be. So I think classroom's probably a better one, but that's just me. That's just my thought.
No, that's a good call. I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, we do have one of the submissions is a workshop right now. And perhaps it would benefit from classroom style. But I feel like in like rounds, it's easier to help around you as opposed to classroom, so from a community support perspective, it might be nice to have the rounds.
I guess maybe we should see what goes in for classroom submissions
and
for submissions before we decide.
We can also fit more in rounds than we can, and oh shit, more in rounds than we can with the more people in rounds than in classroom.
Okay. Yeah, I think probably either one will work, but I agree with Noah, like seeing what comes in and maybe tweaking it.
Yeah.
Because if it's like interactive follow along, then I think rounds, but if it's follow a tutorial with someone leading you the whole time, maybe classroom.
Yeah.
Okay. And microphones, probably 2 just seems safe. 1's probably enough, but a second in case there's questions.
We'll need at least one screen.
Oh yeah, at least one screen. Probably just one screen.
Okay. All right, we're running up at time right now. So what I would suggest is if the content folks want to have a pass at this in between now and next Wednesday, let's do that, and then we'll go through it one more time then, and hopefully Brian will be here and we can sort of get some of the questions answered.
That sounds great to me. We can do that.
All right. Oh, thanks, Bob. I missed your message about the time check. Great. Thanks so much for being here this week. I feel like we made a lot of progress. We have some action items for next week. You all are amazing. Enjoy your work weeks to the extent that you can. And I will see you all next week. And we'll make a call about async versus taking over the ContribEx slot then. Cheers, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.